40 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, last time I was here, they refused my public records request, and they're probably gonna do the same thing again.
Right,
And
so,
I don't get the terms if they told me it was too broad, you know?
right, so if you want to get a public records request based on a situation or a idea, you just can't say, give me public records for the police department, and then we'll give you boxes, then you have to figure it out, but you know, who's gonna pay for that? So if you say specifically, I'd like to know,
Why it closed.
well, and like I told you,
That's what I said, that's
Yeah.
what I said in the public record, why did it close?
yeah, and I think, you know, we had the conversation, and it's closed, it's not officially closed, we just don't have any officers working for us. So we haven't lost our credentials as a law enforcement agency, we just don't have any officers. When each of our officers decided to resign, we went ahead and said, let's find other safety law enforcement measures, and that was asking the county to fill in until right now. It kind of hits in a position where we have to start doing early preliminary budget reports, and with those reports, we'll be able to determine whether we can afford law enforcement. Right now, our law enforcement was probably in the range of maybe $200,000 a year, and that was at the chief's rate of pay and the two other officers, and an uncertified officer. That takes up almost already half of our budget. So, you know, it closed. We're temporarily closed. If the governing body wishes to put more money in, and we actively go out and recruit for a chief of police, and then we're going to need 3 to 5 or however many officers it takes to do a 24-hour coverage. We'll have to put that in a budget. Maybe we have to pull maybe the library from being open. Maybe we lose a couple of public works officers. Maybe we don't have motor vehicle. Because our budget is not like bigger cities where they have an abundance amount of money coming in where they can pay people $30 an hour. We have to be very strategic about what we do. So we closed it down only because we don't have law enforcement.
So the only reason it closed down is because of budgetary problems?
No, the officers resigned from their positions. They resigned from their positions.
Okay.
Unifiably, if I have public works office, my public works guys, if they alter in their letter of resignation today, well, our public works department is closed until I can get somebody in here to run it for us, right? They all walked out. The two officers that were certified, Mr. Brown and Mr. Lemondola, voluntarily resigned on the same day, in which Officer Rodriguez, which is an uncertified officer, he could be an officer without having somebody commissioned over him, right? So automatically, boom, wiped all three positions out.
And is it a public record as to why they resigned?
I don't think that's their own personal reason. They just turn it in. So what you're going to see is a letter from them saying, I officially resigned. And that's all it is. It has no reason of why they resigned, because they don't have to give us a reason. It's all about just their personal opinion to decide to step down.
Well, again, I'll mention, and I don't know if I should mention this, because it's all conjecture and rumor, but this is a small town.
Right.
And I'd say what I've heard is that what happened here had something to do with either the chief or one of the officers being involved with the transportation of drugs to some point, is what I've heard.
Right. Well, that's what everybody probably wants to hear, or everybody wants to perceive.
Well, that's a lot of people in the town saying that he may have gotten in trouble, and that's why I'm trying to find out if there's a public record involved with.
Let's do this. And you
Okay.
Get the camera over here. Officer Lemondola left in good standings with the Village of Questa.
Okay.
If he was to be he reapplied over here, we'd have an opportunity to give him an eligibility of applying again.
Okay.
So that doesn't mean he left in bad terms, left with anything on his record. He is currently looking for work around the state.
Well, it may not have been. Is there any truth though to either him or any of the other officers being involved with drugs at all? There's no truth to that.
There's no truth to that.
Okay.
Everything is in our evidence room where we've seized things that are illegal, all the things that go on with all the reports that they have to do. Everything's still locked up.
Okay.
So nothing is done by our law enforcement. We have the Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, that come up. Region 8 is up here. If they know what's going on, they would have been the ones knowing that there's been illegal activity by our law enforcement, because they're the ones out here manning the streets undercover.
I'll take your word for it. That's just
Right.
what I want. That's why I kind of brought that up, because I
Right.
just want to hear a yes
And I
or no answer.
appreciate that, because
if it
I
had
want,
anything to do with it.
you know,
Yeah.
their activity is part of who I am as a mayor and who we are as a village. And that's not what we are. We're not a drop zone or a pickup zone or you know, I think there is a drug activity here.
Yeah.
A lot of it. And, you know, we ask for the Drug Enforcement Agency to come in, identify it. They have to do an investigation. They have to go through the whole process of gathering all that evidence. And if there was anything illegal through our agency, they would have came in, the federal agents would have came over here and got us, right?
Okay.
So I like.
So that no officers at all were involved with anything illegal
None.
with this closing down?
None.
Okay.
None. And they all chose to voluntarily resign. So that's the position we're in today.
That's kind of odd, though, that they would all resign,
Well-
you know, at the same time. I mean, something had to make them all just,
Well,
why would they all do it at the same time?
that's all part of everybody else's speculation or presumptions, right?
Well, that's why I'm trying to get a records request to find out.
So we can do two things. Let's say you have, if you worked at a job site and you felt like you were getting paid unfair, or you just didn't, whatever, you know, just wanted to leave. And there's probably certain workers that have worked with you that have walked off a job site because you're not there. Is there something wrong with the contractor? Is there something wrong with the company? Is there something?
Well,
or you
if
know,
everyone that worked for it walked off at the same time, I'd say there's something, you know, something's up.
Right.
So,
Well, you
know.
could think that way, but I mean, it has nothing to do, but you chose to walk away, right?
Yeah.
And we have had the struggles over the past 20 years to try to keep a full staff of law enforcement. We've had 1, we've had 2, we've gotten up to 3, we've gotten up to 4. Funding is always a big issue. You know, I've said it before, you know, when you have law enforcement officers out here in the streets for $12 an hour,
Yeah.
working by themselves, going into remote areas in town where there's not a lot of light,
No backup.
for an hour and a half. Kind of leads you to be like, well, you know, is there more money out in Taos? Is there more money at the Pueblo? Is there more money in Espanola? Yeah, and there's support. These guys were pretty brave about what they did every day for us, and I felt very proud about what they did. It's unfortunate that I can't pay them more, and they found money elsewhere.
Well, I mean, here's another thing, you know, I know maybe they tried to say that the chief was acquitted in Taos because of his steroid charges. I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know that something happened that they investigated that guy for, and then he wound up here.
Right.
So, I mean, is that something, I mean, do you really want to, like, have a reputation of having cops that dirty, you know, and I don't know how to say this, but I mean, it seemed like he was kind of a dirty kind of cop from what he was been charged with, and then coming here and becoming chief. I mean.
Right. Well, I believe that he got an opportunity. He had his chance to come over here and show his professionalism as a law enforcement officer. And I think that what people are not wanting to believe or listen to is, if you are prescribed a medication, whether it is a steroid or whether it is some inhalant or something, and your boss doesn't like the conditions that you are currently having to work with, maybe you take Oxycontin to go to work every day to kill the pain, just to come to work, but it might impair something. I don't know. If you have a doctor's form that says that you have to take this drug to function every day, then I have to accommodate that. I don't get to disregard you. You sue me for everything that the village has. Mr. Lemondola had his doctor's medication. The county, if they would have fired him with reason, he would have never been acquitted, or this would have gone away, and now he's probably suing civilly for this,
Yeah.
for defamation of character. And if he wins, then what are you and everybody else gonna say? Oh, well, I guess.
I'm not gonna say anything.
No, I know,
I
but
just wanna know the truth
the
of what's going
perception,
on.
yeah,
So,
and
you know.
sometimes.
I'm not trying to say he's a bad guy or
Right.
not, I'm just saying, you get a perception that if some guy got fired from
So-
another police force and he comes here,
And
it causes a perception.
And I
you know?
understand that, yeah, and I gave him the opportunity. He came in, gave his doctor's prescriptions to us and said, this is what I'm on. Are you still gonna hire me, or are you not gonna hire me because of the medication I gotta take? You're hired. Officers at the county, under sheriff, they all said he's a great officer, he knows the law. They just, for whatever reason, maybe it was the sheriff's decision to try to get rid of him. Now, I tell you,
You
in
know
good
what-
faith as the mayor of Questa,
Yeah,
we are temporarily closed because our officers left.
yeah.
Why anybody wants to dig to see that there's another reason, well then,
I don't wanna-
if nobody wants to believe me, then maybe I need to resign.
I don't want another reason, I just wanna see some paperwork, that's all I wanna see.
Right, and the paperwork that they're.
That's, I mean, as a citizen, that's our right to be able to come into our government and find out the public information of what's going on in the town.
So they turn it, they give you the letter of resignation for whatever reason they wanted to resign for. Is that gonna be enough for you?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, and I think, and I'm the clerk
Yeah.
of the village, so when I did receive your request, I wanted to make sure exactly what you wanted, because we don't really have anything to give you. And so I thought, well, maybe the resignation letters, I don't know if that would work for you, but that's all I have as part
you
of
have no records on, you know, I mean, you have to have some kind of documentation on why, I mean, on the department closing itself.
You know, and I don't, the only thing I have are the resignation letters, and then,
So look at this.
Uh,
We made a decision to close it. Whether we're still looking, temporarily closing it, because we don't have any officers here. Now, there's no just reason as to whether we don't have officers. If I lost all my public works department, if I lost all our EMS people, we're closed. Why? Well, because one, they all decided to leave. Why they decided to leave is their own personal reason. I can't answer that for them. If the state or the federal government came in and says, we're taking your commission of having law enforcement in Questa because you have drug activity, all your officers were arrested for something or another, we found all this stuff, then that's all public record and you'd know exactly
Well,
what happened.
that's why I'm asking, yeah.
We close voluntarily till we can get our ducks in a row, budgetary wise. You've asked before, with reputation and records of officers that are around the country, around the state, what is it gonna take for us to get somebody that has a clean record, good reputation, and is gonna be a model citizen for our law enforcement? Probably gonna cost $30 an hour. We can't afford that.
Well, that is, I mean, would you maybe say then it's better maybe not even to have a police department than to maybe have a police department that has questionable people
Probably.
involved in it?
This is where we're sitting. This is what we are taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Our police department administrative clerk is still working. She has documents to continue to fill out, and she wants to be there for the service for the citizens. If somebody needs file a complaint, somebody needs to do something with property, somebody needs to do something that is police related, she's there. We just don't have active hourly officers today. Now, if our governing body and we see our budget says that we can afford and we can withstand paying people for the next 5 or 10 years at that rate of pay, we'll go out and recruit. We'll bring people in and we'll open back the department. But right now, it's been in our best interest and in the counties, since they serve the public, the whole county, that they can use their officers here.
Yeah.
If I entertain a contract with them to be for the next 2 years, 3 years, and the county agrees to that, maybe that's something that the village won't have to be part of our books, because we can use our money somewhere else a little bit more effectively.
Can I ask a question pertaining to that? I'd like to have sheriffs and stateies here. Now, I don't know if you can answer this or not, but is there, if you have a contract with them, do they split money if they're writing speeding tickets and all that kind of stuff, or is that going straight to them?
So Renee can answer that question about how tickets and assessments get taken care of.
Okay,
So if another agency comes in, they will cite people if they need to regarding speeding or any kind of traffic citation, and they will cite it to our municipal court
okay,
if it's in the Village of Questa limits.
okay. So then anything within the city still stays within the
Yes.
city?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Okay, I was just curious about it, didn't really have
Yeah,
anything to
and
do
then,
with
you
it.
know, anything out like in Cerro or outside of the village limits, of course, they
That's
cite
the-
to magistrate.
Yeah, okay,
So, we are trying to be as active as we can to get a budget together that makes sense for that department, right? These guys in law enforcement are hard to come by. You know, the state of New Mexico, cities in Albuquerque are signing bonuses, they're trying to recruit, they're still short 100 officers.
well, nobody
Taos
wants to
County.
be cops anymore, because it's a dirty job, man. I mean,
It's tough, it's tough. You get beat up either way. You get beat up by doing your job, or you get beat up by not doing your job, or vice versa. You know, people just don't like the presence of police.
Exactly.
And they
You know,
rebel against
yeah.
them, but yet, if they were laying on the floor and they needed help, you call for law enforcement.
Not
Well,
myself.
you know what I mean?
I mean,
Some
I'll tell
people-
you, I'll tell you a story what happened, you know, why, and you guys are very professional. I'm not here to get gotcha or anything, I just want to know what kind of happened.
We appreciate
But what led me down the path to wanting to do this and to finally get, is I've had a lot of bad experiences with law enforcement. I mean, the first time I ever called a cop was when I was 17 years old, and I was defending my own home from a bunch of gangbangers who were trying to kill me. And so I pulled a gun and got them off my property, almost shot one of them, and then called the police to tell them that I was, basically had 14 dudes and like 4 cars pull up
Right.
and threatened to kill me. And then, can you do something about that? They showed up, they arrested me, they took my gun, didn't do anything to them because they were a prominent family in the neighborhood. One of the kids was a star wrestler, and his whole family is from this generation of wrestlers from this area forever. So they did nothing to them, and instead took me to jail. And you know, and that's not the worst thing that happened to me. That's just an example, you know.
Well, you know, and you know, I'm not the spokesperson.
No, I know.
for law
So I'm not
enforcement.
really that's the wrong thing, but I just want to kind of let you know why I do
And I
this,
agree,
you
and
know,
I
so.
understand, and there are officers out there that take that into their own hands and they're abusive that way, or the law is interpreted what it is, and that's how you have to follow it, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, we've done everything we could. We've gone through 2 other chiefs in
Yeah,
my
I know,
10
yeah.
years as mayor.
I used to like Frank, man.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
Frank Gallegos is a great officer.
Yeah.
He was
He was great with
the
dealing with
community.
people, de-escalating, all that.
But
Yeah.
our situation in life today has been multiplied by 10 with all the new drugs that are in the area. You know, I think cocaine and marijuana and
Well,
beer
you know,
was
in the-
20 years ago.
In the past, that was bad too, though. I mean, you know,
was bad, but-
what was it, the late 90s when you had the huge bust that happened here and
Right,
people killing
right.
each other and, yeah, you know.
But, you know, now you got people that are out there doing meth, crack, crystal, whatever there is, they're doing anything and everything. We have a higher unemployment rate. Everything has
Yeah.
kind of escalated.
Yeah, no
So-
more mine,
so-
everything gone, yeah, I know.
Well, Frank Gallegos, if he came back to work for the Village of Questa, he'd probably be the best public service announcer and advocate to do this community policing, but strong law enforcement is hard to find that are still gonna stay within the law. And that's tough.
Yeah.
You know, I respect law enforcement because of the things that they do, and I understand that, you know, in intense issues, they probably get more carried away than they should, and that's part of their training. That's part of them having to be continued training and being prepared for any situation. And I just say that, you know, when I had my first chief, after Gallegos resigned, he left due to lack of officers. He put too much overtime. Second chief came in, couldn't get enough officers, lack of overtime and pay. Basically the same thing here, you know. These guys work for 15, 16 bucks an hour, and they're working 20 hours in a day. And, you know, I have in our community, in our area here, we have like probably 8 officers, eight individuals that work for Red River, Taos Ski Valley, Taos County, Town of Taos. They all work over there because it pays more.
Yeah.
Not because they love the commuting.
No, I get it, yeah.
You know, so it's a very competitive.
I mean, in bigger cities, cops make $150,000 a year just starting, you know, so.
Right. You know, 80,000, you can drive your car from
Yeah.
here to Las Cruces and you still get to go to work, right? So, we are very challenged with that. And to get competitive with other cities, to get quality, to keep them trained, to do all those things with a high rate of activity that goes on in this community, you know, then, in all fairness, you arrest somebody, you take them to court, whether it's the DA's office or it's the judge's department that decide to let that person go within 24 hours. Maybe they have mental issues, maybe they just have drug issues. But then, the next level, where you take somebody that's at substance abuse, there's not a center, money's another thing that's involved, right? So everything, they just kick them back out to the street.
Yeah,
Let law enforcement do it again. You know, you become very frustrated as a law enforcement officer if you're having to do this. Might as well just stay in that merry-go-round and nothing happens. So, you know, there's a lot of things that need to be changed. Ourselves here at the Village of Questa, we feel that we want to provide a good service to the community, as professional as we can always be, and it's going to take a little bit of time.
Okay.
I made the choice to temporarily keep the police department closed. 1, lack of officers. 2, we need to find funding. And 3, hopefully we can be competitive in the future to bring our guys that live in our community to want to work for us here at Questa. So there's multiple factors that we need to kind of work towards, or benchmarks that we got to get to. And it might take a year, might take 2. You know, our economy is suffering right now through this whole epidemic, and it's suffering, and it's suffered, and we've survived, but we always have been suffering because there's not a lot of job creation.
Here.
There's not a lot of economic growth, and we're trying to change that, right? We're putting a business park up, we're trying to get, you know, the buzz back into Questa so we can actually do something positive here. And this, I hope, this little interview and whatever it gets recorded at, we'll let people know that we have those feelings, and we want to be part of it, and we want to be engaged, and we want to have a great department in all departments.
But a lot of people wouldn't even meet like this, so, you know, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not here to be like, gotcha. I just want to know what's going on.
And I respect that. I think that, you know, we want to do, and Ms. Martinez has been the clerk for the past 20 years here. And she's, I think 20 years, right? Close to 20 years. So, you know, she knows the public records request, and she wants to get you all the information that she can get you that's right, so you don't have to keep coming back. And we were looking about, well, this is pretty generic, and it's basically a decision that the governing body and myself made because we temporarily kept the place closed, not because of all the other speculations. And I've had to defend the village, myself, every time I have our store open.
Yeah.
Or I meet somebody at the post office. And so I have gotten that public scrutiny from everyone. And
Well, you still hold a county position too, don't you?
and I hold a county position, and I get to use that as a good offset.
Yeah.
But our ultimate goal is to make sure that people in this community know that when we bring people to come to work for the village, that they're going to be professional, and in their official capacity, the safety and welfare is first. And when that can be accomplished, then everybody's going to be happy, hopefully.
Now, what do you think now about security as far as Quest is involved with it, you know, compared to police force, you know, your police compared to having sheriffs and stuff here?
Well, I think that sheriff can cover. They had a 24-hour, they run 12 on, 12 off.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be somebody that will be ready for the call if it's here in Questa. And when we were in our police department, we could carry, there was always a gap. There was a coverage area where we were basically on call. Or we'd have to hope that the county or the state would fill that gap for us because our coverage times couldn't have it, right? The funding couldn't do it. So do I feel comfortable now? Yeah. And I would hope that the public feels comfortable too, because we have the sheriff's department that has the 12-hour shifts, that we're always going to have an officer It may not be within 5 minutes to be at somebody's home, but it'll be there within the half hour. And as long as we continue to enhance the working relationship with the county, and we may enter into a contract based on the governing body's approval, we might have dedicated officers here from the county, potentially turn that into a substation, let our village general fund recover, and then hopefully we can seek our own law enforcement, you know. I have a badge that says Mayor of Questa, and it's a police badge, right?
Yeah.
And I take a lot of pride in that, and I take a lot of pride in what our staff does. So does it hurt me that I don't have law enforcement of my own, for my own community? Yeah. But I want to do it right, you know, I want to make sure it's easy, right, and it's effective.
Not off subject a little bit, you know, going back to, you were talking about drugs and stuff in the community. I mean, you guys you gotta realize that you're never gonna beat drugs. I mean, no one's ever, this war, you know, I know this is kind of off topic, but it's like, to me, it seems like it should be, you know, maybe the police force should be more focused on violent criminals and that kind of stuff other than trying to shake people down for drugs, because it's never going to end. Like you were saying,
Right.
they just there's no rehab for them, and they just wind up right back. And it's like, if it's just this endless cycle, why bother trying to fight it?
Well,
You know?
you want to hope that fighting it in balance, you can eliminate sometimes some of that potential violent crime that drugs bring to the table.
Mhm.
You know, there's times where we've done a felony roundup, and you pick up these felons that are out there, and that whole weekend, there's not one call in Questa, not one potential burglary, not one domestic, not one violent crime after
Because they're
another.
all,
Because they're all locked up.
yeah.
And then they get back out on Monday, and it's basically waiting till Friday to get thrown back in, or something goes on, and,
I asked you a question with no answer, so.
right. Well, you know,
but,
and I'll tell you that, you know, that's when you get drug enforcement agencies in here.
Yeah.
And they have to compile, you know, X amount of information and data to be able to put somebody in jail for a longer period of time than a week, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that takes months. You know, they got to continuously monitor and see where these people are coming and what the flow is and activities are. And that takes a long time. And the citizens in this community they see the drug dealer across the street. They see it happening every day, and they say, how come you can't go over there? Well, by the time you get over there, it becomes some kind of petty misdemeanor or minor felony that doesn't have any teeth to keep that drug dealer incarcerated. And then when you put one in jail, 5 pop out. So
Yeah, well, that's the thing, it's
yeah.
a never-ending cycle,
Yeah.
and I just don't understand what, you know, and this isn't just a question, but I just don't understand this whole war on drugs thing, because it just seems like it's never gonna go anywhere.
well, and then the war on prescribed drugs has gotten bad too.
Well, I know, I can't they won't give you anything, you know, I told you I'm disabled, I can't get anything for pain anymore. Basically, I have to live off of, you know, I've got a medical card, and I have to take CBD and THC, and that's the only thing they give you anymore for pain. I do, you know, like we were discussing, I get steroids, but that's something you can't take constantly. They give you these packs, and you can only take one like every 6 months, and it's, you know, like, not that
Right.
much crap, you know. It's,
And that's part of it.
so it hurts people who are doing it legally too. So when they do a war on prescription drugs, it's not just hurting people illegally using it. People that need it for pain don't get it anymore either.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know.
Well, you know, and I think that's kind of where a lot of, when the price of the medication goes up so high that you can't pay for it.
Yeah, that too.
Heroin is cheaper than
Exactly.
Oxycontin or
Yeah.
any of those other prescribed
And
drugs.
if you're already addicted to the Oxycontin, you move right onto the heroin because you can afford it.
And then it just starts becoming something else. And then now you're taking Suboxone or whatever that is
Yeah.
to put another combination of highs. So, you know, I appreciate you coming, and I really want to say that we've had an open door policy. If we can't find it for you, we'll work every day till we can get something for you. And if you need to meet with us, let's do it. I have nothing to hide.
All right, yeah.
I'm clear and open about what we're doing, and I think that we're in the right path. And I've had the opportunity of being mayor a second term, and I've been elected official for the past 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
So I would hope that the public feels that they're confident enough in what I'm saying and what I'm doing is right and just for the public, so.
And I guess we can leave it at that. And just one more question. The police disciplinary reports, are those public record or not?
They are, their personnel files are public record. Of course, you know, I'd have to redact their personal information.
I got you, yeah.
But yeah.
Could I,
so-
before I leave, could I make another public
Sure.
request and maybe specify it for maybe the last 6 months, any kind of police discipline reports?
Sure,
Yeah, okay.
sure. In the meanwhile, too, I have, if you want to take.
And it's not that I don't trust you, I'm just
Well, that's fine,
curious.
that's
you know?
fine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair, and like I
Yeah.
said, I like that if somebody wants to question me,
Yeah,
and we serve to be true, and the answers that we've given you match what we've told you today, then it eases that much more
Yeah.
that I don't have to be
it
questioned.
just
on
shows that
everything.
nothing's being hidden.
Right,
That's it, you know, that's
exactly.
all, you know, that's the whole point of this.
Good,
You know, so,
good deal.
so, all right.
Well, thank you,
All
sir.
right, thanks so much,
All right,
Mark,
you be
man.
careful.
I appreciate you, man.
No problem, you just take care of yourself out
Let me
there.
bring in that
Okay.
form for you.
Okay, I'll wait here. So, yeah.
Let's do.
Oh, man. Nothing. Nothing new for me, man. This is why I'm kind of doing this is, you know, like I said, I'm not trying to do the gotcha thing, but I'm also trying to see if I can make some money off YouTube, because like you said, you know, the economy and everything, I can't work anymore, you know? So I'm trying to find other means to make money right now.
Well, you know, and I get it, you know, but you know, everything that we're trying to do is for the best interest, and not everybody's gonna be perfect, not everybody's gonna be spot on, and every time we make mistakes.
Oh, yeah,
If
so
I
do
made,
I.
if I make that mistake as elected official, you know, I know automatically when I took that oath that I will be, you know, basically eating crow.
Yeah,
know,
if you
taking
get-
my foot out of my
Yeah,
mouth,
yeah.
or putting my foot in my mouth and then taking care of business, so.
Well, I mean, that's basically why I wanted to kind of, even though I know that was a rumor that I heard from a couple people, that's, you know, I just wanted to hear a yes or no answer, so. you
Yeah,
know.
no, and it's tough, you know, it's tough. I've grown up seeing law enforcement officers chase people for a speeding ticket when there's drug dealers down the road, or there's somebody domestic violence, and I get that, you know. I'm not saying that they pick and choose what's the easiest way to stay busy, but I think that people do have hard times with law enforcement when they have had a bad history, and it just becomes a bitter thing, and it becomes tough, and you want to question what they're doing, and you want to hold them to the highest regard. You know, they are our law enforcement. They should know every statute, every law that's going to be of good service to the citizens that
That's what you hope
they're
for.
defending.
Yeah, that's what you
You hope for that.
You know, I used to live in Ohio, and in Columbus, I had a buddy that lived in a set of projects over there that I was pretty close with, and they were drug dealers, and they had a deal with the cops where if the cops were going to do a raid throughout this block that they lived on, a cop car would come by and tell them, hey, there's going to be a raid in an hour, hide all your stuff. And that's why I do this, to show that, you know, maybe not all cops are bad. You know, I don't know about that answer yet, but I'll tell you the majority of cops I've ever dealt with have been crooked as can be. You know, and so when that's your perception your whole life, that's all you see, you know.
Right, and that's fair. I mean, it keeps everybody honest,
Yeah.
right? And that's cool. I think that's fair, and I like to see people hold everyone accountable. And if you're having those struggles, and I guarantee you, I mean, that you have shows, TV shows about how those things happen in the